Welcome to Rasoi Quarantine. Many of you have said, Chef, how do I make bread at home? So today I will show you how to make bread in your kitchen. I'm going to show you how to make pav, the Indian bun. And hopefully all the ingredients you will have in your own kitchens. To start off, what you need for a pav is basically flour. In most bakeries back in India, they will use maida or plain flour. But what I like to use in my home is atta or chapati flour or whole wheat flour. This is my take. What I normally do is I take 300 grams of whole wheat flour or atta and I take 60 grams of maida or plain flour. You need the maida or the plain flour because that gives you the gluten which the bread needs. Back in the bakeries in India, they only use maida. So in total you need 360 grams of flour. So you can either use 360 grams of just maida or 360 grams just of atta, which I have not used. I prefer using 300 grams of atta or whole wheat flour and 60 grams of maida for my pav. Along with this, you also need a few ingredients. You need salt. You need sugar. I like to use unbleached brown sugar, but you can use white grain sugar or castor sugar. And what you most importantly need is this little powder here called as a yeast. This makes the dough fluffy and light. If you don't have yeast at home, this is very important because many people will not have yeast. You can use 2 tablespoons of yogurt and a sachet of ENO. That will help ferment the dough and make it fluffy and light. Along with this, you will also need water and you need oil. The first step, what you have to do is you have to activate the yeast. So for that, you take sugar, you put into a bowl, which is 1 tablespoon sugar, half a tablespoon of yeast. It goes in along with the sugar. And in this, you add in warm water. Never cold water, never hot water, just slightly warm water into the mixture of yeast and sugar. And you leave it aside for 10 to 15 minutes. It depends what is your climate condition where you're around. If you're in a warmer area, it will rise and ferment faster. If it's a cold area, it will probably take a little longer. I have got a mixture which has been lying ready here. If you look at this, this has been lying for around 12 to 14 minutes and this has fermented and risen. So the ratio is 1 tablespoon of sugar, half a tablespoon of yeast and half a cup of warm water. Never hot water and never cold water. So let's get the dough ready now. So in this bowl, 300 grams of whole wheat flour, 60 grams of plain flour or maida, half a tablespoon of salt. In this, I will add 1 tablespoon of oil. And into this, I will add my mixture of yeast. I'm going to lightly stirring together. There's sugar, yeast, and slightly warm water. I will also need along with this another cup of warm water and then we will start making the dough. So very gently try and mix in the flour and the yeast water all together. Yeast has a very peculiar smell and that is when you pass by the bakeries, you get that pav or the ladi smell from the bakeries when they bake it in the morning. You get a lovely aroma of the bread, but it's also the smell of the yeast when it cooks and it ferments the dough. It smells quite nice. So I've mixed the first batch of the yeast water along with the flour. I'll repeat once again, it is 300 grams of whole wheat flour and 60 grams of plain flour. Now I will add some more water, about half of a cup of water, mix it together. You have to basically make a soft dough to transfer this onto the tabletop. Just make sure you work on the dough. You need a very gentle hand. You don't have to be very aggressive. You just have to bind it all together to form a smooth dough. And because this is whole wheat flour, it's a little thick. It's a lot grainier than your refined flour. So it will not be a smooth dough as such. It will have slight amount of texture because it's coarse, because the flour is coarse. But as you can see the aeration in the dough is slowly forming, and that is the yeast. Sometimes when the yeast quality is not very good, you have to slightly increase the quantity of the yeast and leave it for a little longer. The yeast needs warmth around it and heat for it to activate. And this is almost ready. That's what you would. Nice soft dough. What I will put on this is a little bit oil, which is still in the bowl. You don't need to put any extra or too much oil, just the leftover oil. You need a clean cloth, which we will wet it. If you leave it open and dry, it will form a crust. So you basically wet a clean cloth, squeeze out all the extra water, and you cover the dough. Just make sure you cover the dough with the wet cloth and you leave it for a good 30 minutes to rest. And what will happen is, because the yeast is already activated, the dough will become lighter. It will also ferment at the same time and it will rise. And that is what you need for the power. That lightness has to come through. So this now stays for a good 30 minutes. Our dough had rested for a good 30 minutes. It is now time to lightly roll the dough again. So come in, have a look. Look at this dough. You see that? See how light is that? It's really got aerated. I'm going to take it off from the bowl on the table, and I'm going to put a small amount of oil, just a little bit of oil, just so that I can lightly fold the dough. Don't have to go hard, okay? Go very easy, gently, just fold the dough together. If you roll the dough a lot, then all the air in the dough is going to go off. Make it like a long roll, put it back together. Oh, the smell of the dough is so nice. And now what I'll do is, I'm going to make it into smaller portions, but first, a small amount of flour on the table, not too much, little bit. And then I'm going to roll the dough with the knife. Make first into half. Very gently, you roll your hand in the center and you move it out, and the dough spreads like a log. Again, don't overwork the dough. If you overwork the dough, all the air from the dough is going to go. It becomes quite tough and hard. Okay, so very gently roll it out, and then with a knife cut them into small portions. And I've got a tin here. Now this is again very important. In this tin, add a small amount of oil. Little oil, and all you do is you rub the oil on the base and around the tin. Just grease the tin. Sprinkle little flour in it. Not too much, just a little flour. and just make sure you move the flour around. So what this does is actually it makes it easier for the bread to come out after it's baked. It makes it like a non-stick. If you have butter paper at home, you can use butter paper or parchment paper, or when you go and buy bread from the market, the plastic bag of the bread, you can actually also put that. That also works quite well. And now with your small finger and a thumb, you gently fold it around. Don't have to work it too hard, very gently. You make it like a small ball, and it goes in the cup of your hand, the two fingers, anti-clockwise directions to each other. Now because this is atta and whole wheat flour, it is going to be grainy. It's slightly coarser. If you use maida or refined flour, it is quite smooth. And that is what the bakery use all over India. They use refined flour or maida for making the pav. The best part of growing in Bombay was we had a bakery near our house, and they used to make pav 3 times a day. And when we used to go to morning to school, we would pass by the bakery, and the lovely aroma of fresh baked bread is very nice, very memorable. Okay, now this I will leave for a good half an hour for it to ferment a little more. I've got the same wet cloth, but this time I'm just going to keep the wet cloth on top of the bread and leave this for another 30 minutes for it to cool. Our dough has now rested for 30 minutes. So let's have a quick look. So here we are. That's the dough. It has swelled up. If you see again, they were spaced out earlier, and now they all literally stuck to each other because they have swollen up and they have risen, fermented. The other dough, which I had, the extra dough, I have put into a different mold here. So I'm going to put this and cook in a different manner. I'll show you, but first, before I do that, it needs to go into a preheated oven. I put the oven at 175 degrees. It's an air convection oven, and I'm going to give it a milk wash. So make sure your oven is always heated. Never put in an oven which is cold. Always a preheated oven, and then a little bit of milk wash. It keeps the bread moist. It also keeps it a bit soft and gives it a very nice glaze at the end on top. I'll again tell you again that this is whole wheat flour. This atta is what you use for the chapati. It is not a refined flour, so it's going to be slightly grainy. And I've done one small little like a log shape, and this is the other one. And this I'm going to cook it in a different style. A lot of requests have come from people saying, oh, we don't have an oven at home, chef, what do I do? Is there any other way I can cook it? So I'm going to explain that to you. But first, let me put this in the oven. So that goes in for 175 degrees centigrade for a good 20 to 25 minutes till the crust on top turns nice and golden and the lovely aroma of the bread comes through. And that's very important, because once you get the aroma of the bread cooking and it is almost done, it gives a very nice aroma, and you know the bread is actually done. The second bread, I'll put this also in the oven. Side, small one. A lot of you have said, chef, I don't have an oven at home, I want to cook at home, what do I do? But this is another trick which we have. We use a pressure cooker. So come close. I've taken a cake tin. I've taken out the bottom ring. I put it onto the cooker. You need to first warm up your cooker slightly. So the same principle as you have for the oven. You preheat the oven. The same way you heat up your cooker first. So you put a little ring or a cake tin inverted, so it gives you height, and the heat comes from the bottom. Now I am going to now put this cake tin with the pav on top of this black cake tin. Can you see that? So there it goes. If you don't have a cake tin, what do? The best option I would tell you is to use salt. Take salt, put a layer of salt, and you heat up the cooker with the salt. If you don't have a cooker at home, you can also use a kadai. It works on the same principle. And lastly, you put the lid on top. You put it on the high heat for 2 to 3 minutes, and after that you have to lower the heat down. So on a very low heat, you let that cook. I normally don't use this method. It's mostly done in the oven because that is always very foolproof. But this, I'm intentionally doing it this time so you guys watching at home can also realize that you can cook without an oven. So baking can be done without the oven. I'll repeat myself. If you don't have a pressure cooker, you can also use a kadai. What you can also do is, if you don't want to put salt, you can also put sand. You get the dry sand, you put them at the base and you warm it up. Now sand will hold the heat very well. It will keep the whole chamber of the cooker or the kadai nice and warm like the salt would. But make sure you put a lid. And do remember, do not put this whistle on top. You don't want to pressure cook it. You just want to make it like a hot chamber or like an oven. So this approximately again 20 odd minutes for it to cook, and in the oven between 20 and 25 minutes at 175 degrees centigrade. So we're going to come back and hopefully, fingers crossed, get to enjoy some nice garam hot pav. And if you remember, this was our second batch. We were cooking the pav in a cooker and not in an oven. On the base there is a cake tin. On the cake tin I've put the pav which is in the tin, and I've let that cook in this pressure cooker without a whistle for 25 minutes. You also got to remember that when you make stuff in the cooker, it will not be the same as what you cook in the oven, because the oven is more sophisticated. The air moves around much evenly compared to what we have in the cooker. So this bread made in the pressure cooker is bound to be slightly denser and not as light and fluffy as you would get from the oven. I'm going to open that and have a quick look. Wow. Let's switch off the heat and let's get this little baby out. Can you see that? Look at the color. Absolutely gorgeous. I am going to put a little bit of butter on it. Because the pav is warm, and when you put in the butter, it absorbs all the butter, it soaks in all the butter. So when you eat it, you get all the lovely richness of the butter in the fluffy pav. This is done. I will let that rest for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to enjoy that with a nice cup of chai. I've left this pav which I cooked into the cooker for 10 minutes now, and I'm going to take it off. But first, with a sharp knife, I'm going to run this at the edges just to make sure you can loosen the bread. There's one thing which I should have done was actually add a little more butter to grease the tin. The bread would have actually come out a little easier.
So let's see.
There we go. That's our pav ladi. That's what they call in Bombay. Look at that. This is beautiful stuff. Look at the aeration in the pav. It's got all the lightness and the fluffiness, and oh, it's still nice and warm. There. Once you let that rest for a while, you can then slice it, put inside a little potato tikki or aloo tikki, some onion slices, some green chutney, some garlic chutney, or maybe some pickle, and you can enjoy that. This is pure heaven. Make sure you try it at home. Make sure you share with your friends, post it, and don't forget to tag me. Enjoy.